is dropped. Next order.
Order number 8, motion, extension of time for consideration of the Presidential Memorandum on the Conflict of Interests Bill, National Assembly Bills number 12 of 2023.
Chairperson Jailak.
Thank you once again, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move the motion that aware that the National Assembly and the Senate passed the mediated version of the Conflict of Interest Bill, National Assembly Bills number 12 of 2023 on Thursday, 5th of December 2024 and on Tuesday, 8th of April 2025 respectively. Further, aware that His Excellency the President had reservations and referred back the bill to Parliament on 30th of April 2025 pursuant to Article 115, Sub-Article 1B of the Constitution for reconsideration, noting that pursuant to Standing Order 171, the Speaker referred the President's memorandum and reservations to the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights on Tuesday, 6th of May 2025, cognizant that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 172, the 14 days given to the committee to consider and lay its report on the bill lapses on Tuesday, 20th of May 2025. Now, therefore, notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order 172, the Senate resolves to extend the time for the consideration of the Conflict of Interest Bill, National Assembly Bills number 12 of 2023 by a further 45 days to enable the committee to consider the President's reservation and lay its report on the table of the Senate on or before Tuesday, the 8th of July 2025. Mr. Speaker, this motion seeks, it's a procedural motion that seeks to ask for more time and, to be specific, 45 calendar days in order to facilitate the committee to consider the reservations that was referred to this House by the President on the Conflict of Interest Bill. Remember, Mr. Speaker, the Conflict of Interest Bill began from the National Assembly, where it was passed and thereafter moved before the House, where certain considerations were made and a raft of amendments were done by the House. The report that ultimately was transmitted to the National Assembly comprised considerations and the decision of this House to amend the bill, introduce certain clauses, and deleted some clauses. Ultimately, that bill was also approved by the National Assembly, and it was sent to the President for approval and assent. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, the President had reservations on the bill, and the bill was referred back to the House. Concurrently, that bill came to the Senate, and at the same time, it was sent to the National Assembly with 12 clauses that the President had rejected, giving his reservations and making proposals which the committee is supposed to consider, and thereafter the bill is referred back to the President. Mr. Speaker, under the provisions of Standing Order 171, this committee is expected to remit its report on consideration of those 12 clauses, among others, before the House at the lapse of 14 days. The committee, Mr. Speaker, has since received this communication from your desk. It has considered its report. However, it has not been able to conclude within the 14 days that the standing orders provide. And that, Mr. Speaker, is the basis upon which we are placing this motion for consideration, so that we are given another 45 calendar days within which the committee is expected to consider and remit its report back to the House. At the same breath, Mr. Speaker, there is communication that has come and has been referred to the committee from the National Assembly, which is aimed at ensuring that the process of consideration of those reservations is made neat, because the National Assembly as well as this House are expected to debate on the reservations and pass a version of the bill that has been agreed by the two houses. It only then behoves this House to grant us some time so that we have an engagement with the counterpart committee from the National Assembly, so that we agree on a version that the two houses will have on the bill. And this, Mr. Speaker, cannot and will not be able to be done within the 14 days which is lapsing today. At the same time, the National Assembly are still on recess. They are resuming, I believe, on the 26th of this month. And the standing orders in the National Assembly gives them 28 days to consider such reservations, whether from the President or otherwise, coming to the House on a bill that has been rejected. The 28 days, therefore, Mr. Speaker, means that it would require of us, even if we were to agree that we will do a joint mediation or a joint consideration of those reservations with the counterpart committee from the National Assembly, it can only be done when the period within which our standing orders provides has been enlarged, and we are therefore legally within that period. The issues, Mr. Speaker, that this procedural motion is asking is just one: give us 45 calendar days so that we can accommodate the consideration of those reservations and consider whether possible to have a joint meeting with our counterpart from the National Assembly to consider this report. Mr. Speaker, I move and I request the Honorable Senator Chimera to second this motion. Thank you.
Senator Chimera, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to second the motion as moved by my very able chair, Jailak. Mr. Speaker, this motion is pretty much straightforward, Mr. Speaker, as it speaks to the need to seek to extend the time within which the committee will be allowed time to consider the reservations as sent forward by the President. Mr. Speaker, you would notice this is the second time this bill is being referred back to Parliament for either further amendments, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, what has been proposed, if you look at the reservations from the President, it raises quite serious concerns and very weighty would-be amendments, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, we wish as a committee to be allowed much more time to be able to caucus, to be able to discuss and look thoroughly into the proposed amendments and the clauses as is, Mr. Speaker, so that we can be able to come up with a much more acceptable version that will be ready for presidential assent. Mr. Speaker, for those many remarks, I wish to second the said motion, Mr. Speaker.
Now, Honourable Senators, this is a procedural motion. I may propose the question and open the floor for debate, or with your concurrence, I may proceed to put the question so that you vote on it and we proceed with other business. Do I have your concurrence that I proceed to put the question? Very well. I will now proceed to put the question. Yes. Honourable Senators, I will propose the question. That aware that Parliament passed the Conflict of Interest Bill 2025 on Tuesday, 8th of April 2025. Further, aware that His Excellency the President had reservations and referred back the bill to Parliament on the 30th of April 2025, pursuant to Article 115, 1B of the Constitution, for reconsideration. Noting that pursuant to Standing Order 171, the Speaker referred the President to memorandum and reservation to the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights on Tuesday, the 6th of May 2025, cognizant that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 172, the 14 days given to the committee to consider and lay its report lapses on Tuesday, 20th of May 2025, which is today. Now, therefore, notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order 172, the Senate resolved to extend the time for the consideration of the Conflict of Interest Bill 2025 by a further 45 days to enable the committee to consider the President's reservations and lay its report on the table of the Senate on or before Tuesday, the 8th of July, 2024. Now, having had your concurrence before proposing the question, I will now proceed to put the question. That aware that Parliament passed the Conflict of Interest Bill 2025 on Tuesday, 8th of April 2025. Further, aware that His Excellency the President had reservations and referred back the bill to Parliament on the 30th of April 2025, pursuant to Article 115(1)(b) of the Constitution for reconsideration, noting that pursuant to Standing Order 171, the Speaker referred the President memorandum and reservation to the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights on Tuesday, the 6th of May 2025, cognizant that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 172, well, as many as of the contrary opinion say nay, the ayes have it. Next order, Clerk.
Order number 9, motion, consideration of the National Assembly amendments to the Coffee Bill, Senate Bills number 10 of 2023.
The chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to thank the Senate, the committee, for taking us through this coffee bill, Honorable Speaker. This coffee bill 2023, Bills number 10 of 2023, seeks to provide for the development and regulation of the coffee industry in Kenya. The coffee bill proposes to reorganize the coffee industry by transitioning the regulatory and commercial roles currently undertaken by the Agriculture and Food Authority to the Coffee Board of Kenya. The bill further seeks to transition the research of coffee currently undertaken by the Coffee Research Institute under the Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization to the Coffee Research Institute. The Coffee Bill 2023, Honorable Speaker, Bills number 10 of 2023, was published on 10th March 2023 and read for the first time in the Senate on Tuesday, 11th April 2023, and further, the bill stood committed to the Senate Standing Committee on Livestock, Agriculture and Fisheries for consideration. The bill was advertised in the Daily Nation and Standard, referred the National Assembly amendments to the committee to consider and table a report in the Senate. Following the referral, the committee considered the National Assembly amendments to the bill on 25th and 26th of March 2025 and made the following observations and recommendations. The committee observes as follows, Honorable Speaker. Limiting the role of Agriculture and Food Authority, the bill seeks to amend the Crops Act 2013 so that to unbundle the regulation and management of coffee that falls within the ambit of the Agriculture and Food Authority and establish a standalone agency for its regulations. The committee took note that the transfer of coffee management to AFA has not improved the sector in any significant way. The bill therefore proposes to reorganize the coffee industry by transitioning the regulatory and commercial roles currently undertaken by the Agriculture and Food Authority (AFA) to Coffee Board of Kenya. In this way, coffee will have a specialized institution to handle the operative affairs as opposed to the current structure where AFA is handling hosts of other scheduled crops. Critical role of the coffee crop. The committee stressed on the importance of the coffee crop both locally and globally. The coffee export is the fifth foreign exchange earner after tourism, tea, horticulture, and remittances from diaspora. Coffee is the second most traded commodity in the world after oil and is one of the most strategic cash crops contributing to Kenya's economic growth. Coffee is one of the major crops in Kenya, coming third after tea and horticultural produce. Decline in the market dominance, Honorable Speaker. The committee further noted that even with the decline over the years, the coffee industry injected billions of shillings in the country's gross domestic product over the years. Therefore, the enactment of the bill is key in reviving the industry. County government and functions. Honorable Speaker, the committee observed that most of the amendments were undermining the role of county government in the agriculture sector. Since agriculture is devolved in function, it is essential to ensure that the provisions of the bill accurately reflect this by ensuring that county governments are responsible in implementing agricultural policies and programs. Assignment of roles. The effective performance of devolved functions require clear assignment of responsibilities to a specific office to ensure accountability. The County Executive Committee, CEC, plays a pivotal role in policy formulation. In this case, the body responsible for policy decisions in this county executive committee, where such decisions are made collectively. Additionally, the committee noted that the policy head within relevant ministries in the county executive committee member who is responsible for translating policies into actionable programs. The committee recommends that the Senate adopts the report of the committee and the Senate adopts the committee recommendations on the National Assembly as per the attached schedule. I beg to move and request my good friend Commissioner Wamatinga to second.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise to second the bill as moved by my share of Agricultural Committee. Indeed, coffee sector is one of the backbone of Kenyan economy. It's enjoyed very good returns, and therefore, Mr. Speaker, streamlining the sector, ensuring that we see the leakages, ensuring that we put sound regulations that will regulate and operationalize the value chain in coffee sector will go a long way to encouraging our farmers. Mr. Speaker, sir, as has been ably presented by my share, it is not lost to us, Mr. Speaker, that there's been a lot of exploitation of the coffee farmers by cartels, that there's been a lot of exploitation, Mr. Speaker, because of complicated marketing structures that this bill will seek to address. On top of that, Mr. Speaker, the bill will also be seeking to mainstream by creation of a board that will ensure that the farmers get not only their due share of the coffee returns, but also do not get exploited by the cartels. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is at this age quite unfortunate that you need to regulate even the marketing, the auctioning. We that are exposed to the IT technology, we know that you do not need to have an office, nor do you need to have a license to be able to buy anything from Amazon. And this is one of the approaches that we are going to use to ensure that the coffee farmers can sell their crop where they want, when they want, and at a price that they've agreed on. Moreover, Mr. Speaker, we know that most of the coffee farmers have sold their crop but also have to wait for so long to get paid and therefore do not get money to till their farms. Mr. Speaker, this bill seeks to address some of these shortcomings and therefore encourage coffee farming. But as also we do that, Mr. Speaker, I must also urge my colleagues and more so those who come from coffee farming area that it is time now that we start talking to coffee farmers, because we know that the average age of coffee farmers is 50 years and above, and we need to get a strategy of mainstreaming young generation so that we do not have a gap when these aging farmers exit the market. Mr. Speaker, that said, it must also be pointed out that the unfortunate practice of subdividing pieces of land into small segments has also made coffee farming quite unproductive. Achieving economies of scale where you have tilling a very small piece of land, Mr. Speaker, is something that's becoming a major challenge. It has also become a major challenge for the farmers to be able to access the markets and the markets that they would want to sell their coffee because of the reducing volumes from each factory. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, as we talk about improving the regulations around the coffee bill, as we talk about mainstreaming the young generation towards coffee farming, we must also address and we must also be quite intentional about getting value addition so that we do not only sell coffee as beans but product, to ensure that we create employment within the coffee sector, we create employment along the value chain, but most important, Mr. Speaker, that Kenyans also get to enjoy the good coffee that is one of the best qualities in the world. Mr. Speaker, I second.
Of 2023 be now considered. Now the floor is open for debate. The Honorable Ledama Olekina. All right, so gather your thoughts. The Honorable Alexander Mundigi.
Asante Bwana Spika, naunga mkono mjadala ambaye unahusikana na mambo ya kilimo ambaye ni ya kahawa. Katika Kenya siku hizi tunaweza kusherekea mambo ya kilimo kwa sababu mambo ya kilimo iko katika devolution katika county government, na pia tunashukuru serikali ya Kenya Kwanza vile imekuwa ikiangalia vile mkulima ataweza kufaidika. Bwana Spika, tunagundua wakati hii serikali iliingia kahawa, ilikuwa hata watu wengi walikuwa na majaribu kukata kahawa katika masinani na kupanda vitu zingine. Lakini sasa tunasherekea wakati huu. Tumeona kaunti zingine mambo ya kilimo ya kahawa, nakuta factory zingine kahawa inatoka shilingi 150, zingine shilingi 130 na kutoka shilingi 40. Kwa hiyo ninaunga mkono tuweze kuangalia vile mkulima ataweza kufaidika. Kwa sababu tunakumbuka wakati wa sabani, Bwana Spika, mambo ya kahawa, wakati wazazi wetu wa zamani walikuwa nafunzwa, zile kaunti ilikuwa nalima mambo ya kahawa, ilikuwa ni mambo ambaye ilikuwa ya kusherekea sana, unakuta familia zao zilikuwa naenda vizuri, lakini kwa miaka ingine iliyopita mambo ilikuja ikageuka, lakini sasa tunasherekea kwa sababu rais wa Kenya ambaye ni William Ruto alikuja akaunganisha watu wote pamoja, Bwana Spika, na akasema mambo ya katero siweze kuondolewa, akaondoa ushuru mambo mingi, lakini sasa tunajivunia. Kwa hivyo mimi naunga mkono Bwana Spika, tukienda vile tunaendelea, mkulima wa kahawa katika Kenya mzima atakuwa anajivunia na itakuwa inatoka karibu shilingi 200. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, naunga mkono. Sio kahawa peke yake, kuna mambo mengi tunafaa tuyaunge mkono. Kuna mambo ya majani, makandamia, maembe na pia avocados, hata mirazi tukumbuka. Kwa sababu katika nchi ya Kenya mambo ya kazi imekosekana. Shule nyingi wazazi wengi wamekosa pesa ya kupeleka watoto shule, lakini hata wale watoto wetu wamesoma vizuri na wakasoma shule hata ya juu na wakapata vyuo vikuu ya digrii, imekuwa hakuna kazi. Lakini tukiendelea vile utakuta katika Kenya kaunti 47 mambo ya kilimo itaweza kuwa kipaumbele. Kwa hivyo ni kuomba watu wote county government, kwa sababu katika mambo ya kilimo iko katika county government. Tumeona governor wengine na ofisasi wengine wasaidie mambo ya kilimo. Bwana Spika, nikiongea mambo ya kahawa, wiki jana tulitembea huko katika Bungoma na Kisumu, lakini tukaangalia governors na wengine, unakuta wakati watu wengine wanajifunika kahawa inatoka shilingi 145, unakuta kaunti zingine kahawa inatoka shilingi 35, unakuta maziwa kaunti zingine inatoka shilingi 52, unakuta kaunti zingine maziwa inatoka shilingi 40. Kwa hiyo ni mambo ya kuhuzunisha, kwa sababu kumekuwa mataberi, na wengine wale watu wako wanasimamia mambo ya vyama. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, ningeomba mambo mengi wezi kuainishwa, na tukifanya hivyo mkulima wa kahawa na wakulima wale wa vitu zile zingine watafaidika vizuri. Kwa hivyo Bwana Spika, mimi naunga mkono nikiwa senator wa Embu County, na ninafurahia katika Embu County mambo ya kahawa iko kipaumbele. Kwa hivyo ni ya mwisho ni kuomba county government na agriculture fertilizer iweze kutengenezwa, iweze kupelekwa mashinani, ndio tuweze kujivunia mambo ya kilimo. Kwa hivyo Bwana Spika, nikiwa senator wa Embu County, mimi naunga mkono. Ni mimi Daktari Alexander Munyimo Ndigi. Asante Bwana Spika.
Senator Omtata.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to contribute to the motion that has been put on the floor on the coffee bill. I've looked at the amendments proposed by the National Assembly. Most of it are largely technical in nature, and I hope that the committee, when it goes to the committee, they'll be able to interrogate them in detail, and they seem to be supportive of the bill. And so we should be able to finalize this bill, because the bill is extremely important to the economy of this country. Coffee growing, right from the colonial days, was made a political crop. With this bill, potential of producing very high quality coffee. These studies are documented. So we would request that as they look at this bill, we hope that this bill will be able to unlock the potential of these crops, because as you can see, the sugar barons have already invaded Western Kenya, and they have made mincemeat of the sugar industry. There's hardly that there. So I support, and I pray that the committee will give its best attention. And as I'm still on my feet, I want to raise a matter of great concern to the Senate in terms of our emergency preparedness. Today, I just learned that we are sitting ducks. Should an emergency happen where you need an intervention from a medic, I just learned that the Senate does not have an emergency department or the Parliament. We don't have even just a first aid. We have to rely on St. John's ambulance to get first aid. So the challenge we had this morning should be an eye-opener. It also occurred to me that we do not have the Bunge Tower, high as it is, does not have a lift where a stretcher can fit. We are only lucky that the emergency we had today happened on the first floor. So we're able to carry the victim using a stretcher by the staircase. Imagine if it had happened at the top of that building, what would have happened? So I think it was a terrible thing. Whoever decided, I think time has come for us to hold people to account. That building cannot continue being like that. When I leave my office, I have to go and look for a shoe shiner to shine my shoes, because the carpet gets off and sticks on my shoes. I need a service of a shoe shiner when leaving my office. It's very, very sad. Whoever designed that building, these people need to be arrested and locked away. Right from people who designed it, those people who supervised it, people who stood for it. We know that people who made millions of shillings out of that building. We know that people in this house who bought houses in Karen.
Senator Omtata, I just want to know, we are in order number 9.
Yes.
Debating the amendments as proposed by the National Assembly on the coffee bill. I'm struggling to find relevance. It's a heavy matter you are raising, but I'm just struggling to find relevance with what you're saying and the matter at hand.
Yes,
I'll give you an opportunity maybe later on to ventilate on the very important matter you're raising. But for now, just restrict yourself to order number 9.
Okay, going back to the question of coffee, we also realize that coffee is a political crop. It's an international crop, a political crop that requires heavy lobbying, and value addition for us should be a very important consideration. We cannot continue exporting raw beans or exporting raw leaves and then re-importing finished products. I think when you consider this bill, I'll be requesting that those responsible take it upon themselves to make sure that the question of value addition is seriously addressed, and we see how this country can make, we should even maybe make it illegal like European country material, so that we can try to just make sure that we do whatever it takes to export finished products from Kenya. This idea of raw materials has created poverty among our farmers. If you see what the farmer takes, you go to central Kenya where they're growing coffee, you look at what the farmer takes home against a tin of Nescafe, you find that this farmer hardly makes anything. So let us really try to think of how we can invest in the coffee industry, the chain, the value addition systems and the factories and whatever, so that we can begin creating Kenyan coffee, selling it as a finished product, and ensuring that we get maximum value from the raw material. The value addition, sometimes most of the value is in value addition and not necessarily in raw material. But I pray, Mr. Speaker, that these studies that have come up showing that there are many areas of this country that can grow coffee and do it profitably are also looked at, and investments prepared for it, so that the culture and the fear and the politics of coffee locally can be opened up to many sectors, and we develop a proper industry, right from the farm to the coffee cup. We have control, and we have Kenyan control. Mr. Speaker, with those few words, I thank you for the opportunity.
Senator Cheriot, the Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to oppose this motion. Probably it would be good for me to explain why, so that members don't think that I'm at variance with what the committee is proposing. There's a little technicality, Mr. Speaker, in how this motion is drafted, because the motion before us, as moved by the Chair of Agriculture Committee, is that the National Assembly amendments to the coffee bill be now considered. Yet, in considering the report of the committee, if you look at the report of the committee, Mr. Speaker, they're actually rejecting quite a number of those amendments. That means the committee wants us to go through a mediation process between us and the Assembly. If you consider amendments, it means, Mr. Speaker, we have to sit as a committee of the whole, reject those amendments in the committee of the whole, then now send them to the Assembly for us to come and do a mediation, then consider those amendments again. So therefore, there wasn't proper fluency in how this motion was drafted, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, the easiest thing that I urge my colleagues to do is that for us to achieve which is to reject some of the amendments that were made in the Assembly, is to defeat this motion, Mr. Speaker, and therefore negotiate the formation of a mediation committee between us and the National Assembly. Then we can pass the mediated version of the bill, which will be agreed between the two houses. It's a matter, Mr. Speaker. So for that reason, I